Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and in this tutorial I will be showing you how to create an awesome neon text effect in Adobe XD 2021. First of all, as you can see here, I've already created a custom sized artboard of 1280 pixels by 720 pixels. Of course, this is entirely optional, you can make it whatever you like. So for starters, I'm going to drag in a backdrop of a brick wall. I will of course link this in the description. And you do not need to follow this exactly, just choose one that suits you. I find that anything minimalist and dark especially helps the neon text to really stand out, so I'm just going to centre this in the centre of my artboard. And as you can tell, this obviously isn't dark and the neon text won't stand out, so what I'm going to do in order to make the neon to make this layer darker, so as you can see, I'm in the Layers panel, which is Command Y, in order to access it. I'm going to duplicate this layer. So you can do this using the keyboard shortcut Command D on a Mac or Control D on a Windows PC. So what I'm going to do with this duplicated layer here is I'm going to change the fill colour to a nice dark colour. And I'm going to change the appearance to around 75%. This is much darker, already looking quite nice. So just to recap, in the Appearance tab here, on the right panel, we can control the opacity here, we can control the different settings here, and we can control the fill colour, the border colour, the shadow, background or object blur, and so on. But we'll get to some of those settings later. So now that we've got the backdrop in place, it is time to begin on the neon text itself. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to type neon, and I have chosen the Beyond fonts, which you can download from SC fonts, so I'll link that in the description below. But of course, whatever suits you. So I have chosen a nice blue. So this blue, because I find that this suits the neon theme. You can of course use pink, whatever colour. So just a quick tip here, I recommend that you always save your colours in your palette below here by pressing this plus button, as if you need to reuse a colour, this always helps. So as you can see here, I'm going to add a border, so I have this for easy access, and the same for a shadow. So the other option is, if you did not do that, then you can always use the colour picker tool and select the colour. So as you can see, we now have a nice text, but if I zoom in, you can see that the shadow is offset. So what I'd prefer to do is change the shadow to the Y to 0, that controls the offset, and the B, which is basically the magnitude of the shadow, to around 15, so that really makes our neon text stand out. And to make it stand out even more, I'm going to duplicate this twice, and the third one I'm going to drag down the appearance to about 50% and put it on object blur, and drag this up to about 10. So our neon text is glowing, which is exactly what we want, and as you can see, I forgot to centre it, so it's not looking that great. So if you go into a Layers panel, which as I said before is Command Y, then you can just select these layers by pressing and holding Shift and selecting, and then you can move these and use the grid lines to centre it, just like so. So the next thing I'm going to do, and the final thing mainly, is use this circle or ellipse tool, which you can use pressing E on the keyboard, and I'm going to drag this over my text. So obviously this looks ugly at the moment, but it will have a nice effect in the future. So we're going to change the appearance or opacity to around 50 and select our fill colour to the same as the text. Finally, we're going to change the object blur and make this around 20 or possibly 25. And as you can see, that stands out against the wall. So that's it mainly for this video, guys, but I'm just going to keep going and copy what I have on the thumbnail. But if you want to stick around, you can. But otherwise, that's it. So finally, let's make the border around 4. And as you can see at the moment, we have these cornered edges. So in order to make a rectangle, you press R or use this second button from the top on the left. And what I'm going to do to change the corners is in this setting, you can either control just the corner radius of the entire object or each separate corner radius. And I'm going to make the corner radius 40. I'm going to center this, and I'm going to make this the same color for the border and shadow, change the offset to 0 and the thickness to around 10, and duplicate that for effect. So the final step is to add the text effect that I had in the thumbnail. So I'm going to make this text font size 60. I'm going to drag this down, center it, and have about a 15 gap from the neon, or possibly 20, yes. And I'm going to change this colour so it really stands out to a nice pinkish, like so. Add this to my colour palette for easy access. You can always use the colour picker in case you didn't do that. Change the offset to 0 and the thickness to 12. And duplicate that. And then finally, drag an ellipse over, turn off the border, change the fill colour, object blur, appearance 50%, object blur 25, and copy and paste it. And in order to move this over the effect, I'm going to press and hold Shift and use the arrow keys to move it right. And that will move it by 10 pixels, or you can just use the arrow keys separately, which will move it by 1. I'm going to drag this over the rest of the effect. So guys, thanks for watching. If you like the video, feel free to like, comment and subscribe. Any support is greatly appreciated, so it's free, so we would really appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next one.